Hello and welcome to the last weekly MTG show of 2019.
Last show of the decade, yeah. I was about to say.
How many times are you going to say that between now and New Year's Eve?
I mean, that's probably last weekly MTG show of the decade, probably at least a couple of times this hour.
Yeah, definitely that. So, you'll notice it's just the two of us, because you know what? Yeah. We're going to have a little fun, kind of casual show today, where we're going to run through our top 4 various things.
We got a lot of categories today.
We do, of 2019.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear what some of yours are as well. So when we start talking about ours, throw yours in chat. And I may bring them up. So we'll go through some top 4s. I'll tell Steve why his are wrong, unless they match up with mine. And then in that
Which is the case for some of these.
It is the case for some of these. And then we'll stick around at the end to answer general questions. If you have any questions about anything from 2019, anything looking forward to 2020,
maybe you
want
to know what Blake is doing for Christmas. Who knows?
Yeah.
We might not tell you, but you know, we'll take the question.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah.
Anyway, first,
news.
As always, Steve has the news.
For the last time this decade.
For the last time this decade.
Oh, man. Well, if you've been paying attention, you've seen that there have been some pretty big... Go to this camera. Pretty big changes for Historic in Magic the Gathering Arena, to the point that we've suspended 4 cards, and that's a new term. Let's take a look at the graphic to see what cards got suspended on Historic. That's there's some pretty familiar cards there that people recognize from recent banned and restricted lists. Field of the Dead, Veil of Summer, Oko, Thief of Crowns, and Once Upon a Time. These 4 cards have been suspended in Historic, and you can find out more about what that means and what's coming up for Historic in the article on Daily MTG. But for now, I'll give a brief overview. Suspended cards go onto a suspended list. Think of these cards as being on a watch list of sorts. These are cards that are no longer available to play in the queue for Historic. You can't use them to construct your decks. You can't play with them in Historic events. However, they are not fully banned as of yet. After their time on the suspended list, there will be a determination made as to whether or not they come off the list and other cards come on. Other cards may not come on, or if they move over to the fully banned list where they will no longer be allowed in Pioneer. Or so not Pioneer, in Historic. In Historic.
Yes.
I meant Pioneer was written down here for a little while, but now it says
we'll
Historic.
Get to Pioneer later.
So yeah, is that about right, Blake? I think that's about right.
Yeah, I mean, the key thing is that, and that would cause some points of confusion, if a card is suspended, it is suspended for that sort of Historic season.
Right.
And then after that season, it will either come off the suspended list or move to the banned list. It will not stay indefinitely suspended.
Correct. It will be one or the other, so it will either come off or it will get fully banned. So that's a thing that happened. Another thing that happened, Theros Beyond Death is coming soon, Blake.
It is coming
very
up soon. We've started showing off some cards.
Yeah, Blake was getting that old eye twitch for preview season. So we've got some cards coming up.
It's always there.
Literally, it's always there. These are some cards that we revealed via our media partners at GameSpot. They were the first ones to showcase these. What you have on the left of your screen is Ashiok Nightmare Muse, both the regular and showcase version. On the right is Elspeth Sun's Nemesis, where you can see that cool spear in her hand. Looking forward to seeing more of that, maybe. And those are both the regular and showcase version. Those cards on the left and the right can be found in booster packs of Theros Beyond Death. That is, those are booster pack Planeswalkers and showcase Planeswalkers. And in the middle, you have our buy a box promotional card for Theros Beyond Death, Aetherios Shroud Veiled. And of course, Aetherios is a returning god. We saw Aetherios in Journey into Nyx.
Sure, sounds right.
I believe Aetherios was Journey into Nyx. Yes, Sean says yes. So he was Aetherios was originally in Journey into Nyx, fan favorite of the original Aetherios of Commander players everywhere that enjoy playing Shadowborn Apostles. Sean apparently really enjoys playing Shadowborn Apostles. So that we've kicked that off. We don't have a graphic for you, so I'd encourage you to check out Wizards_Magic on Twitter, where we revealed the 5 basic lands.
Yeah, the Nyx lands.
Full art Nyx lands.
We've got them on Daily MTG as well. We've got the card image gallery and the variant card image gallery up. And actually, here's a little bit of news for you. Heard it here first. So one of the cool things that we're doing with Throne of Eldraine, and I think previews going forward, is if you were around for War of the Spark previews, we did something cool where every card was part of a scene.
Yeah,
we did like a story.
We previewed, I think, actually every card in the entire set in War of the Spark.
We're not doing that with Throne of
Eldraine. It was a little much.
Yeah, but what we are doing is there's somewhere between 30 and 40 cards. I think it's 34, but I forget the exact number. Are all story aligned. So when we release them, we're going to release story blurbs with them so that you can follow the story along during preview season. And then we'll collect all of those in one place so that you can get the story as it's told on the cards all in one place, follow along. We'll be, when outlets preview cards, we'll be sending them graphics that have the blurb that goes with them. And we're going to do those in order, kind of like we did for War of the Spark.
I know that preview season was very well loved by the fans, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they react to this new way of doing previews.
Yeah,
should be pretty fun.
It'll be cool.
So Theros Beyond Death, we've got more coming down the line. Stay tuned. None in this show. I'll set that expectation right now. We don't have any Theros Beyond Death preview on this show.
It's a casual show.
Just very casual, extreme. Look at how casual we are. I almost took off my blazer today. I didn't. But so, that's not the end of news. We do have one more thing. World Championships coming up next year in February in Honolulu, Hawaii. World Championship 26 for Magic the Gathering. These are your World Championship competitors determined after Mythic Championship 7. And man, is that a stacked field.
I mean, it's Worlds. Well, Worlds field isn't a stacked field, but yeah, this is they're just the best players in the world this year.
Breaking it down for you, you got starting from the upper left, you got Javier Dominguez, the 2018 World Champion and Mythic Championship winner himself this year.
And top 8 finisher in Mythic Championship 7. He had he was the first to qualify because he won the World Championship.
And then he qualified again.
And he would have qualified like 3 different ways as well. Yeah.
And then, of course, we have our Mythic Championship winners from 1 through 7. Autumn Burchett, Eli Loveman, Matthias Leverato, Toralf Severin, Jean-Emmanuel Duprat, Andre Strosky, and Piotr Glagowski. It's true that Jean-Emmanuel Duprat was actually the runner-up for that Mythic Championship. That's because Javier won. And Jean-Emmanuel Duprat came in second, so he was able to secure that spot. Then you have the top 4 Mythic points earners from the Challenger slot. Raphael Levy, Sebastian Pozzo, Chris Kvartek, and Gabriel Nassif. You want to talk about a story that was crazy to follow this year. Chris Kvartek. Talk about a rise to prominence in the
out of nowhere. I've been doing coverage for Magic Esports for a long time, and I continue to follow it in my new role. I honestly, before this year, never heard of Chris Kvartek. I don't know if he's had results. Honestly, couldn't tell you. But this year, holy crap!
It's he played incredibly. It was amazing to watch, and we're gonna see if he can continue that streak in the World Championship.
And as next year in the Magic Pro League.
In the MPL, he made MPL as well. And then we've got the 4 top Mythic points earners from the MPL this year. We've got Marcio Carvalho, Seth Manfield, Andrea Mengucci, and of course Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa. And of course that last name, Piotr Glagowski, we already mentioned. He is the Mythic Championship 7 winner. And the last to be put on that list because he was the last to be determined. All the rest of them were locked before Piotr won the Mythic Championship this past weekend. All right, and that's your news for the day. Now let's get into the really important news. Top 4 of the year, Blake. Top 4 2019.
I want to answer a question from chat.
Oh, there's a question from chat.
Well, there's a couple questions from chat.
Thank you, chat.
I was talking about Theros previews, and they had the very, good question. When are we going to get more Theros? They said spoilers previews.
That is an excellent question for previews.
Tomorrow, we are going to publish an article. So every time now, we publish an article that says where to find previews.
Yes, it's very helpful.
Yes, it will tell you when and where to find all the Theros Beyond Death previews. We will publish that article tomorrow, and so all of that information about when and where to look for previews will be there.
So you'll be able to find out exactly when preview season is going to...
On dailymtg.com.
That's awesome.
Okay, so now let's get back into our top 4.
Let's get down to business.
Business.
Yeah,
so,
very important.
So Sean's going to throw up some graphics, and we're going to talk through some of our favorite things of the year.
Love graphics.
We're going to start with top 4 formats.
There are a lot of formats out there, Blake.
And Steve, I'm gonna start out right now. Your list is wrong because it does not include Pioneer.
Well, in fairness, I believe you just played. It wasn't your first. It was
my first
Pioneer event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went 2-2 on Tuesday with an Esper Control homebrew.
That's why they call it 2 and Tuesday.
They don't call it that. Even though Pioneer was a latecomer, I think it's clear, like, 2019 is going to be remembered as the year Pioneer came around. The format's awesome. It was introduced in a really interesting way with the ban list basically being updated as the community figured out the format. And I think Pioneer's here to stay.
Yeah, I would hope that it's here to stay. You know, so the reason Pioneer was not on my list is because I think it's really interesting. I actually haven't played that much of it, so I didn't really want to put something on my list that I hadn't played a lot of. Mm-hmm. I played a lot of limited this year, ton of limited.
Yep.
Not the least of which was Cube. As many viewers know, I have a Cube. I love Cube. It is my favorite thing.
These are a
few of my favorite.
Yeah, I don't think we can keep going with that.
These are a few of, and then we have to stop. But yeah, I loved War of the Spark draft this year. I loved War. It's not my list. I believe is Ravnica Allegiance draft and Throne of Eldraine draft and Commander. Mm-hmm. I put those two on top of my list because those two were the formats that I most enjoyed playing specifically on Magic the Gathering Arena.
Yeah.
I loved playing, RNA draft on Arena. It was so cool to be able to draft the Gates deck or, just do ridiculous combo 5C things in that format. I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed Throne of Eldraine. I know a lot of people gave Arena a little bit of guff for, the bots maybe undervaluing Merfolk's Secret Keeper just slightly. But I love that they undervalued Merfolk's Secret Keeper. I was one of the monsters that really enjoyed drafting that deck. So the fact that I actually could, and then go to a real event and draft an aggro deck or something like that, it was really, really fun. I enjoyed it, and of course, Commander was on both our lists.
Commander was the one commonality on both our lists, which I thought was kind of impressive. Honestly, 2020 is going to be the year of Commander.
Oh yeah.
2019 really set the table for it. We had our first Command Fests. So we had two a couple weekends ago, and there's one in D.C. this weekend.
Yes.
If you're on the D.C. area, you should definitely check out Command Fest, Washington, D.C. by Star City Games.
It's awesome. I went to the one in Seattle. There was one in our backyard, so of course we went. And I've been to a few Magic Fests this year as well, and the Command Zone that debuted in, I believe, Magic Fest Las Vegas. Yeah. Man, has that taken off. It's you walk by it, it's always really crowded. There are a lot of people really into their games. There are different sections. Commander has just had I'd say we're in the year year -1 to the renaissance of Commander because I feel like next year we have all these great products to really support Commander in a big way.
I feel like this was the year we started catching up to the demand for Commander.
Right. The demander, as it were.
The demander, oh my gosh. You're not even on my list of top 4 Steves.
That's fair. So, Steve Gutenberg is a Steve.
I think we could have held Command Fests in 2017, 2018.
Oh, absolutely.
And they would have been popular. So I think this is the year of really catching up to what Commander can be, and next year is where it really kicks into high gear.
Yeah. So if you have the time, you're in Washington, D.C. or the Washington, D.C. surrounding area, check out Command Fest.
And it's not really just for Commander. If you, I played Brawl at Command Fest.
Oh yeah, you did.
There were tables for Canadian Highlander, for Oathbreaker, for a number of those kind of those formats on the casual side of things,
right?
That people play a lot in kitchen tables and local game stores. So definitely check out Command Fest if you're in the area, and if you're not, play some Commander with some friends. Yeah, it's a good time. Anyway, let's move on to our next category.
The news
stories.
I should have a lot to say about this since I started doing the news this year.
You started doing the news. You do a lot of Magic PR.
I do. It's true.
I run our news site.
Yeah.
We should
have good things on that. Let's take a look at the graphics. See, we actually have good things on this.
Let's see. Hey, Pioneer again.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We already talked about Pioneer. The 2020 esports plan. There, it was really that one felt like it built up all year.
It really did.
The $10 million thing at the beginning or at the end of 2018, 2019, we were figuring things out, and then we're like, okay, this is what we're doing. We planted a flag. This is what we're going to look like going forward. We have the Players Tour, the Players Tour Finals on one side. We have Mythic Invitationals on the other side. We have a World Championship that everything leads up to. We've got MPL and Rivals figured out.
And not to mention the MPL Gauntlet that decides who from...
That's going to be an amazing tournament.
I'm so excited for that tournament. That was my favorite part of the 2020 esports announcement.
And then when we announced the year of Commander, I just talked about how big Commander is, so announcing what 2020 is going to look like for Commander. And then Modern Horizons was big because it it not only was a cool product that people liked, but it demonstrated that we could release a product that directly injected into a specific format. I don't know how or if or what we're going to do with those in the future, but it showed that there's a lot that's possible.
Definitely. I had some things that, there are a lot of things on this list that hopefully people have heard of. If they haven't, I hope that they go look them up. We announced that we're doing an animated series with Netflix. We announced that we're doing that's executive produced by Joe and Anthony Russo, who are pretty well-known directors for some.
Yeah, they did.
They did some movies this year.
I think that it's like a small indie flick.
Yeah, something like that. But
Endgame?
Endgame, I think is what it was called. And then, I think it's great. The reaction to it was huge.
Yep.
People are really looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to it.
Honestly, this is the one part where I'm gonna be like, all right, Steve, I was wrong not to include that.
Yeah, the only one.
I should have included that. I don't know what I would put it over, but
it's
I should have
tough, right? We
it.
had so much stuff. I mean, the fact that our lists have no overlap shows, I think, how much stuff there was this year to just talk about. Mythic Invitational, man, that event was crazy.
The very first one.
Very first one at PAX East. We had just come off the first tabletop, Mythic Championship 1, the first tabletop Mythic Championship, and getting to see these players battle it out on Arena, on the stage, with the spectacle. I'm sure there are a lot of fans that watch our show that were at that event. It was just so cool. And then not only that, for the finals, we released the War of the Spark trailer as well. We got to see people, have reaction in real time to the debut of that trailer. We talked about War of the Spark there. We played a lot of games of Magic. We got to see Andrea Mengucci win and hoist that trophy up above his head. It was a really great moment, and just generally a really great kickoff to Arena as an esport.
Yeah,
I think Hall of Fame. Reed Duke made the Hall of Fame this year. He was the only one, the only inductee. But Magic also made a Hall of Fame. I use this one
cheated
as a
a little bit here.
Cheated a little bit. Magic also was inducted into the Strong Museum of Play's Toy Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Huge honor, yeah.
Yeah, incredible honor. Thank you so much. And, props to Brian David Marshall, who led a little bit of a campaign on social to get people to vote for Magic, to get them to be in the Toy Hall of Fame as a finalist. Finally, Ponies the Galloping. This was a really big crossover that we did with our friends at the My Little Pony team at Hasbro. And we offered it up for sale on Hasbro Pulse to benefit Extra Life this year as part of a really big drive we did for Extra Life. And I love the fact that we were able to get that into people's hands and people reacted to it as well as they did. It was super fun. It's a really fun product.
Yeah, and if I'm remembering this correctly, that was part of our, so we've done Extra Life for years and years and years now. That was part of our biggest year fundraising for Extra Life.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. So
by like a wide margin. It wasn't like we squeaked
close
across the finish line. It was like previously we'd been down here, and this time we were up here somewhere.
But it was so great to see that we were able to put out a product that people were excited about, that the community could rally around for a good cause.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite parts of Magic is the community that we have, and to see them be able to rally around something like that, was really great, right? It was really good.
It was.
There were some other things on there that I really wanted to include, some like Secret Lair, which is pretty recent. It was so close, and it was between like that and Ponies the Galloping. I was like, I gotta give Extra Life a shout out this time around.
As the people primarily responsible for the news that comes out of Wizard of the Coast this year. It was a busy year.
It was a really busy year, so thank you for being interested in all the news that comes out of this building. We appreciate it.
Next up, tournament moments. Favorite tournament moments.
Oh man, I was looking forward to this.
You hinted at some of these when you were just talking about the Mythic Invitational here. But yeah, let's look at our top 4 tournament moments of the year. And again, my list is better. Mythic Champion.
Hey, our lists overlap.
They overlap by quite a bit.
At least 3 of these.
Quite a bit. Actually, yeah. But my fourth point is I guess my third point is better. Sure. So
it certainly is different, I will say.
Yeah. So Andrei Strasky came out of retirement for the 8th time. I don't know. Strasky had an amazing year, and it just every time he said, I'm retiring from Magic, he'd win a tournament. It was a little kind of an unfair advantage for him to retire before a tournament. But he is now on his way to the MPL.
Yeah, and something about the Mythic Championship 6. This was Mythic Championship 6 in Richmond, Virginia. Getting to see him play that game against Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa. I believe it was game 4, Strosky's tournament life was on the line, and he had to figure out how to come back from a pretty major deficit that game.
Yeah.
And he won that game. He won the next one. He essentially, like, that win in Game 4 made him win the whole tournament, essentially. Yeah. It was an amazing thing to watch. If you haven't seen it, I'd encourage you to go check it out. Video on demand at Magic Esports on YouTube.
Yep.
But, yeah, Strosky played incredible all year. I mean, he was in the top 4 for Mythic Invitational.
Something like that.
Top 8. He was in the top. He made it to day 3 of the Mythic Invitational. Yeah. He just played great all year. And for his acceptance speech at the end of Mythic Championships, he was like, "I just want everybody to know that I'm now unretired from Magic the Gathering," which was a really great
pretty
moment.
sure that's official. The one difference we had, so I had Mythic Championship 7 because we saw something that hadn't happened all year.
Yeah.
Gregor Glogowski.
Piotr Glogowski.
Wow.
You're thinking
Yep.
of Gregor Glogowski.
I mashed 2 players together. Anyway, the winner of the tournament got a bye to day 2 by
winning his division.
Yeah. In MPL, and then proceeded to not lose a match.
Which is crazy.
He just won out against the best players in the world, playing on the most important tournament of the year where so much was determined.
Oh my God.
And he just ran over everyone. On day 2, he literally lost 1 game.
Yeah.
Which he should feel a little embarrassed about.
I think
we went like 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-1. What are you doing? And then ran through the finals and went completely undefeated.
It was a pretty massive achievement, and I think everybody all year has been watching Canister play, right? Like he's a really entertaining streamer.
Yeah, you took the easy way out on his name there.
You mean Piotr Glogowski?
I mean Canister. Go ahead. I mean Gregor Kashishu. This is why they don't let me on camera. I write words.
He played great all year. He was he was the runner-up in the Mythic Invitational. He's extremely entertaining. One of the things that people know about him is that he likes to emote in arena tournaments a lot. Some people will actually, when they're playing, get some turn off emotes in their options so that they can't see his shenanigans. But incredible player for all of the shenanigans that he does on screen. You can see why he won Mythic Championship 7, and he piloted that deck, which was Jund Sacrifice, and with the Corvalds in it.
I've been playing a lot of the deck. It's just so good.
It's amazing, and he played it. It was like a masterclass on how to play that deck.
Yep.
It was amazing.
Next up, because we like ourselves.
We do.
I like me. Steve's okay. Steve was also here. Top 4 weekly MTG episodes.
I was shocked to see that there were actually episodes on your side that I was actually in. I thought you were just going to choose all episodes that I was out for.
I didn't try to do that.
There's only one on there, in fairness. Actually, no, I wasn't here for the sub one either.
Yeah. So, on my list, teasing the mystery booster. We got a lot of flack for it, but that episode we announced a number of things, and then we were just like, mystery booster, and that was what kicked off the whole mystery booster cycle.
Yeah.
Interview with Kate Elliott. Kate's great.
I'm pretty sure we had 2 interviews with Kate.
We had 2 interviews with Kate Elliott.
So you can watch either episode, and they're both amazing.
Episode.
Yeah.
And then the interview with Seb McKinnon Seb is a joy to interview. He's such a nice guy, and so enthusiastic about the work he does, and his mind works in a way that I don't understand, which is why he's an artist and I'm not.
You're a word guy.
Yeah, I'm a word guy. And he was, honestly, if we're going to talk about, if we had a top 4 artists of the year, which we didn't do, but Seb would have to be on that list.
Oh, yeah. He had a breakout year this year.
He did. And then way back at the beginning of the year, our Modern Horizons announcement, I didn't look, but I think it might have been our most viewed. Certainly live.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Episode.
Mostly because I wasn't on that episode.
Yeah,
so
that's
it makes
how
sense. That's how we bump traffic up. On my side, the Modern Horizon talk with Adam Prosak and Ryan Pankos. This was the episode that we led in with that time-lapse video of Mox Tantalite.
Yep.
That was an incredibly memorable episode. I think that time-lapse was really, really cool. It was not something that we had done on the show up until that point, and something that we definitely want to do again, given the opportunity. Hall of Fame with Paul Cheon. This one was great in that Paul was literally walking by the studio as we were getting ready for the show, and he's like,
"Did you guys say Hall of Fame?"
Yeah, and he was like, "Can
This is our show where we were talking about
right.
Hall of Fame voting and going
Right.
through all the people.
All the eligible candidates.
Which
that
Paul
year.
loves debating that.
Oh,
sort
it
of
was
stuff.
great.
Yep.
It was super fun. Check that out. Fact or Fiction with a professor. Professor from Tellurian Community College. He's a Pacific Northwesterner.
Yep.
So we had him come up and ask us a bunch of tough questions that we answered on camera.
So here's why your list is worse than mine.
Do tell.
Chat has just informed me that the interview with Brandon Sanderson was on December 14th of last year.
Yeah, it was that good. It makes it.
I mean, it was that good.
It was actually just that
Interviewing
good.
Brandon Sanderson was really cool. He wrote the
Children of the Nameless.
Children of the Nameless ebook for free. That's still out there. You
Yeah.
can still download it. So if you like
read it.
Brandon Sanderson, if you're intrigued by Davriel, who had a card in War of the Spark, that book is great. Brandon Sanderson came on. He talked about the book. He talked about his love of Magic.
Yeah.
There is, if you didn't see it, there is a Game Nights episode
Where they drafted his commander
they drafted
cube.
his commander cube. Brandon Sanderson loves Magic and shows through, and he wrote an awesome book for it.
So even though I put something down that didn't qualify, it's still a really good episode. And if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it.
Yep. Absolutely.
But we had we have a lot of releases every year.
Yeah.
Like tons of releases. We have standard sets, but we also have a lot of other products that we put out.
We do.
And this is the top 4 ancillary releases.
Ancillary releases. So this could be anything that wasn't one of our 4 main sets.
Look
We
at
both
all
had
that overlap.
we had 3 of 4 were the same.
Yeah.
And here I'm not gonna tell you that yours is wrong or worse because Mystery Booster is great.
It's really sweet.
The Brawl product was a smash hit.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody wanted it.
I will say this: if Mystery Booster hadn't come out and I hadn't been able to actually draft it at Magic Fest Richmond, Brawl would be on there.
Yep.
Right. I think every single product that's on here, of course, the overlaps we don't necessarily have to talk about. We've talked about them a lot already. But Brawl and Mystery Booster, especially, I think, are some of the breakout new products of this year. You know, something like Secret Lair. We've dipped our toe into that area before. This was definitely the biggest manifestation of it ever.
Secret Lair was new, and it just happened.
It did.
It did.
Yeah.
It new and cool and different, and there's a lot of room to experiment there. If you were tickled by Secret Lair and you didn't read Mark Hagen's article,
Oh, you got to check it out.
I think it was called Secret Lair Revealed.
Yeah.
Where he talks through where the idea came from. It started with Stasis.
It really did.
It did.
It's crazy.
And the art on the original Stasis and how weird and wacky it was and how that stuck with Mark. And then he got to help create this product that had all kinds of weird, cool, and different art.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool product. So that definitely belongs on the list.
And you know, Mystery Booster, you've gotten a chance to draft it since then.
I have done 3 Mystery Booster drafts, and they've all been sweet. They've all had blue cards. I've opened Form of the Mulldrifter in a pack I was not drafting.
I got to open Time Sidewalk.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And I got to actually get the trigger on it, exile it at the beginning, and shuffle 4 Time Walks in my deck, and it was sweet.
Yeah.
It's sweet. It's a fun set with these playtest cards. You should check that out as well. We have an episode where we actually drafted Mystery Booster.
We did
with 6 people.
A few weeks ago. We had some people from the company that including Mark Hagen
And Elaine Chase.
and
Aaron Forsyth.
Matt
Tabak was there too. Yep.
And yeah, we had a good time. We drafted on stream. Not one. Neither of us put it in one of our top 4, but it very easily could have been. I think it's not in the top 4 because it doesn't translate to the podcast.
Exactly. Like I tried to pick ones that people could listen to.
If you didn't know, this show is also a podcast that you can download either on Daily MTG or on iTunes. And some shows translate better to podcasts than others.
Others do not. When we do a preview show, it's very, very difficult.
Anything visual, and the draft was very visual. So.
Yeah, but we did a lot of word lists, right?
Yeah.
These are lists of a lot of words, but we also Magic is a game with cards, Blake.
We have a bunch of top 4
We have a
categories of cards.
Yeah.
Some pretty simple, some
Not so simple.
Not so simple. So let's start with how about our top 4 commanders?
Ooh, yeah, I like Commander.
We talked about how big Commander this
Commander
year.
was on both of our lists. It was the
both
only overlap.
Both of us play.
Yeah.
So let's see what our top 4. So these are commanders that came out this year.
Yes, that was the intent.
That were printed
anyway.
in 2019.
Yeah.
Not that saw play this year or that got help this year.
Right.
The ones that were actually printed this year. So let's
So new commanders, as it were.
New commanders.
The last commanders of the decade.
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at. These are Blake's.
These are mine. If there's all of them have blue in them, if that's shocking to anyone. Yarick is probably my most played new commander.
That deck is gross, man.
I love the
deck's
things that
insane.
deck can do. It's just value engine after value engine, and if you're playing against it, just kill Yarick on site. And the deck does fine without Yarick as well. But doubling things is always fun, and you get to do things cards were not meant to do. Omnath is cool. It made a splash in Standard for a while, and then it gave us our first Elemental commander that is really focused on the creature type elementals.
And fun fact, your favorite card happens to be an Elemental.
Yeah, Mulldrifter's an Elemental.
Yes, it is.
Mulldrifter would get played in at least
Decks.
2 of these decks. I definitely
Probably
played
all
in
4.
Omnath and Yarick, probably all 4. Niv Mizzet I included because it's a value commander. I like when we add new 5-color commanders that ask you to do something different.
Yeah.
5-color commanders are very hard to do.
Right.
There's a bunch of them, but a lot of them are slivers. We saw 3.
Yeah, that's
we
true.
saw 3 of them in Kaleidoscope Killers.
Yep.
I also have an Ur-Dragon deck, but Ur-Dragon was not printed this year. So Niv Mizzet Reborn is great. It gives you a ton of card advantage, and it makes you play with specifically guild cards. You're not playing gold cards. You're not playing 3-color cards. You're not playing 4. So it provides an interesting deck restriction, and you want to spread it out across the 10 guilds. So it's a really cool deck to build. And then Golos is a 5-color commander that cares about lands, or it cares about big spells. Again, Game Nights did a really cool episode where Josh, I believe, played Golos and just kind of went off. Golos is also interesting because it's kind of like playing Solemn Simulacrum for your commander. So yeah, I know Golos has seen a lot of play. You have a Golos.
I do have a Golos deck, which is why that's a good lead-in. That's why Golos is on my list of top 4 commanders as well.
Mm-hmm.
Golos Tireless Pilgrim, I run that card in Golos Gates. So my win condition there is Maze's End, which is my favorite way to win a game of Commander. Shout out to my friends that I have won that way with. I picked some slightly weird commanders. I like build-arounds. I like things that have cool effects. Ayala, Queen Among Bears. Ayula is amazing, and if you haven't seen the episode of Game Nights where Graham plays Ayula, Queen of Bears, in the deck Bear Force 1, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Please watch it after you finish
Not right
up with
now.
this show.
Yeah, wait till we're done.
Right now. But Ayula is great. It gave people the 2/2 for 2 legendary creature bear commander that they've been waiting for. Chulane is just absolutely disgusting in Brawl, and counts as a commander both for Brawl and for actual commander.
Yep.
I love that effect. I love Bant, so I put that on there. And the Nest Tender. The Nest Tender is here. Naya Ness.
Egg Tribal. Never knew you needed it.
Egg Tribal. You never knew you wanted it until you saw this card. I played against this deck. I haven't actually built this deck myself, but I played against it a fair amount. And the stuff that this deck does can potentially just be so ridiculous, and it's so funny that you can't even be mad. It's like, oh, this Eldrazi hatched out of this egg. That happened. I'm just a really big fan of build-around commanders like this, conceptual commanders like this, and I thought this one was especially creative from the minds in R&D.
Next up, we have our top 4 commons.
Yes.
Year. So
Yeah.
Pauper got a little boost this year.
Modern Horizons, a little bit.
Well, Modern Horizons, and also we merged the Mitgo version,
right.
the paper and the digital versions. And then we saw kind of an uptick in some Pauper-focused events at Magic Fest and various other places. So Pauper got a little bit of growth this year. And some of that was due to some of these commons.
Some of it was not. Some of
Some
these
of
are
it
just
was
very
not.
good draft commons.
So let's look at the top 4 commons of the year. So these are not all focused on Pauper.
No, these are my top 4 commons. They're all basically blue. Arkham's Astrolabe says draw a card, so I consider it to be blue. But Merfolk Secret Keeper, like I said, I love drafting that mill deck. I think it's hilarious. Cloudkin Seer, easily the best common in M20. I played a lot of M20, and This is the type of card that I want on 3, right? Like I want this on 3 all the time. Could we please just print this in every set?
Yep.
Arkham's Astrolabe was so powerful in Pauper, it got banned. Actually, it got banned.
Yeah, and there's people calling for it to be banned in Legacy too.
Yeah,
I don't know that it will, but it's
an extremely powerful card. It does everything that you want it to do, and I would argue that one of the standout commons of this year were actually not just, I picked Snow Covered Island, but not just Snow Covered Island, all of the Snow Covered lands. They were reprinted in Modern Horizons in that lovely full art version, the Zendikar version as
the treatment. Yep.
That treatment, and man, have they had a splash in almost every single format this year. I feel like they've really had their time in the sun with the tools that were added in Modern Horizons with the Snow Matters themes. Just really happy to see Snow back on the menu. Yeah, especially during the holidays.
Steve, chat's already decided your list is wrong and worse than mine because my list includes Mystic Sanctuary.
Yeah, I already knew you were going to put that on there. I had to pick a different card, man.
So there was a question in chat earlier if we were going to do top 4 Canadian Highlander cards, and Steve does not play Canadian Highlander, so I did not trust him with that.
No, but I would pick things that were specifically not good in the format just to troll Blake. I would do research.
But if we were doing top 4 Canadian Highlander cards printed in 2019, Mystic Sanctuary would be on that list for sure. It's an amazing addition to that format. It's an amazing addition to any format with fetch lands, and it's starting to make waves in Pioneer, which you can't fetch it.
No,
you just play a bunch of them.
It's just good.
Throw Dig Through Time back on top.
Card's insane. I agree.
Yeah, so Mystic Sanctuary is one of my picks for the top cards of the year, let alone top commons. Opt I picked because it is continues to be in Standard, continues to see play in basically every blue deck that is looking to do anything other than attack, and even in some that are looking to attack. Cloudkin Seer is great because it draws a card, and it's so the other cool thing about this was this year R&D has made a concerted effort to bump up the power of the commons a little bit.
Absolutely.
So this is more powerful than you generally see at common. If you look even just at Throne of Eldraine, this same card is a 1/1 rather than a 2/1, and it's a fairy instead of an elemental, and elementals had a ton of synergies in M20. So this card was very powerful. Arcane Signet, I think, was also certainly the most, besides Arkham's Astrolabe, the most discussed common of the year as the card people most wanted out of the Brawl decks.
Yeah.
Again, it's labeled a common. It was not distributed that way. It was in every Brawl deck.
It's interesting because like we whittled this down to top 4, and commons was actually the toughest category for me to whittle down because we printed so many of them.
We do print a lot of commons.
So many.
And that is the nature of commons.
Exactly. So whittling it down to 4 was really tough. I wish we had a couple more slots. Mystic Sanctuary would have made mine, but I had a feeling you were not going to pick the snow-covered lands, and I wanted to make sure those got their due.
To answer Chainer Mage, why is Opt in 2019? It's from Ixalan. Opt is actually from Invasion.
Yes.
From 2000.
Like, would you like to borrow my glasses so you can go actually?
Actually, it's from Invasion, but it was printed again this year. It's currently in Ixalan.
In Throne of Eldraine.
Throne of Eldraine.
Yeah. It was printed in Ixalan. You're right. It was printed in Ixalan, but it was also reprinted in Throne of Eldraine.
Next up, let's just go up the. Yeah. Oh wait, no, we're going to creatures next.
Creatures.
Yes, that's right. We went to creatures next.
Yeah.
Okay.
We picked 4 creatures.
We did.
Here they are.
Oh, mine first.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to argue with Gilded Goose or Hydroid Krasis.
No.
Simic has been very strong all year, especially since Throne of Eldraine was released. A big part of that is Gilded Goose. Hydroid Krasis plus Nissa, Who Shakes the World, is kind of the combo that defines Standard right now, and has since both those cards were printed. It is part Sphinx's Revelation, part giant creature, part Mulldrifter, part Cloud Blazer. It's
a jellyfish Hydra beast.
When I first saw this card, I was like, draw half that? That doesn't. I mean, it doesn't even draw if at the same casting cost as Mulldrifter. It doesn't even draw as many cards. I was wrong. This card is amazing and powerful, and really making waves in a number of formats. Yarick I picked for my own special purposes. It's my favorite commander. And then Kethis I picked. It led a powerful combo deck in Standard, which we don't see a lot. Combo decks in Standard of the engine type. You know, obviously Nexus of Fate, which is kind of engine-y, but not really. Kethis is the kind of deck that could play Kethis and win that turn.
Yep.
It could win as early as turn 3 or 4 in Standard. It was hard, but that happened. And now it continues to make waves in Historic and Pioneer and other older formats. So I think Kethis is certainly one of the top 4 this year.
I'm excited to have chat explain to me why I am wrong about my list. And you, Blake. Let's take a look at my list. That's right. I picked a bunch of weird draft stuff and Imposter of the Sixth Pride because I think that card is hilarious. Questing Beast, obviously, is another card that we've seen in Standard a lot lately. It's definitely come more into prominence since Oko has stopped being a thing. It just has a lot of words on there, and
so many
it has a lot of words, and it's a super powerful creature. Certainly one of the most powerful creatures that we've seen printed in recent memory. Risen Reef. Oh my God, this card. Oh my God, Risen Reef. The best feeling in the world in M20 Limited was to play Risen Reef on 3 and somehow play Scorching Scamperer.
Yeah, the red.
Yeah, the red puts 3 elementals into play.
Or doing that in Standard.
Or anywhere. Literally doing that anywhere. Doing it in Brawl feels great.
Or having Baby Chandra in play.
Oh my
and
God.
Just activating Baby Chandra. It's just...
Card was nuts.
Like, Coiling Oracle was already good.
Turn all of your elementals into Coiling Oracle.
To that, and then just all elementals do this all the time.
It's
Risen Reef. If I'm not playing Risen Reef in M20 Limited, I'm not interested.
If I'm not playing Risen Reef in a lot of formats, I'm not that interested. The Risen Reef was easily, I think, in my opinion at least, the best uncommon creature of the year.
Sure, I haven't delved into that gatherer category, but sure, why not?
Like for this year, for me, it was certainly the most memorable.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody asked you like what was the best uncommon in you know, what uncommon would you want to take this year? Like just
this is one of the ones that comes to mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Gate Colossus is actually another one. Gate Colossus was really, really good in Ravnica Allegiance
All
Limited.
of the Gate-focused cards. If you're talking uncommons, so
Gatebreaker Ram, Gates of Blaze,
the blue draw enchantment.
Guild Summit.
Yes.
Guild Summit. All of which, by the way, I use in my Golos Gates Commander deck, which if I ever play Commander...
I made Mythic when we did the 2020 Standard preview event, where you could only play with cards that would be in Standard, but it was pre-Throne of Eldraine.
Golos Gates.
I played Golos Gates, and I had all those cards in that deck, and made Mythic in like a week.
Those cards were really, really strong. I think like Gate Colossus is particularly memorable for me just because who doesn't want to play an 8/8 off curve? Like, who doesn't want to play an 8/8 earlier than, right? So,
or for free.
Or for free. Yeah. There were certainly some other creatures. Imposter of the Sixth Pride is a little bit of a goof.
That's a stretch.
That's a stretch.
I
took top 4 to mean my favorite top 4 creatures, and I loved Imposter of the Sixth Pride because it was a callback to a card we did in Future Sight.
Yes.
Which was also a 3/1 and part of the Sixth
Pride. Which was a call forward to
which I like to think is a call. Future Sight was the call forward to Imposter of the Sixth Pride. In that card was an imposter and changeling the entire time. We just didn't know it until Modern Horizons.
It's very meta.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. That's how I roll.
Next up, most flavorful cards.
Oh, we had so much flavor this year.
2019, we really did.
Oh my gosh, so much flavor.
Well, I mean, Throne of Eldraine itself was a top-down set, which are always dripping with flavor.
It was challenging not to just pick 4 cards from Throne. Honestly,
did I pick?
I don't
know. We're gonna take a look. Yeah. Let's see. Let's look at our top 4.
So these are mine. Ginger Brute, I believe, is on both our lists, and it's not particularly surprising.
Yeah.
This card is, I think, the poster child for what
run as fast as you can. Can't catch me. I'm the ginger. Unless you also run fast.
Exactly. In which case you can catch him.
Yep.
You can catch him.
I do love though that in Throne of Eldraine Limited you can surprise block this with the drawbridge.
Yeah.
You activate the drawbridge and suddenly all your
it's
things
like, nope. It's really
using
good.
Using your haste defensively.
The Elder Spell I thought was a really flavorful card from War of the Spark.
Yep.
One of your Planeswalkers is casting the Elder Spell and gets all the powers of all the Planeswalkers that they destroy.
Doing it on a Nicol Bolas
my God.
felt so
right.
Great.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Generous gift, the White Elephant gift exchange, which I thought was an amazing gag and also extremely flavorful. We had no category for flavor text for top 4.
Fair.
So I looped it into flavor cards. And,
I was questioning this one,
and
but
picked Catacomb Crocodile for the amazing flavor text that is on there. Was one of my favorites of the year. So while not a particularly flavorful card in its whole package, I think it had one of the best flavor texts of the year.
that's fair. Okay, I won't give you too much crap for that one. All right, let's move on to my list, the superior list, where I did actually pick all Throne of Eldraine cards.
I love it. Oh my god.
Okay, so Charming Prince, if you don't get this one, it is a charm. You get to pick one of 3 things when it comes into play. But also, the 3 things it does are all things that relate to how you would interact with a Charming Prince. So Scry 2 is living happily ever after with an individual, gaining 3, I forget what they all 3 are. Mark Rosewater explained it. The
Flicker.
The flicker is actually so that you can take someone out of charmed sleep.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right.
So it used to at one point destroy enchantments. They wanted to make sure that you could wake up Sleeping Beauty from a charmed sleep. Charming Prince can do that by flickering. Lovestruck Beast is obviously a callback to Beauty and the Beast, and does so really well with an adventure that creates a human belle and then becomes the beast itself. Gingerbread we already talked about. Realmcloak Giant doesn't have the fairy tale roots that the other does, but what's really cool is that Cast Off, the Wrath side, is literally
shaking
the giant
off the realm.
Shaking off, like the giant was asleep, the realm grew over it, stood up, shook it all off, and
everything's
destroyed.
Except for giants.
because they can't get shaken off by that. They're already too big.
It's impossible. This is a great list. I like this list a lot. It's good.
Yep.
So now I think we're going to a list that is near and dear to your heart, Blake. It is the top 4 Mulldrifters of the year.
You can never reach the height of the individual, but you can get close.
It's true. You can always get close, and I'm pretty sure we're going to start with you, Blake, on this one.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, all right, there's that Risen Reef, and even though it only draws you 1 card the turn it comes into play, oftentimes it snowballs and you end up drawing many, many cards.
It's also an elemental.
Also an elemental, which pairs up and obviously goes very well with Mulldrifter itself. Gadwick the Wizened is actually my pick for best Mulldrifter.
Yeah.
Even over Hydrate Crisis. We're starting to see a lot of people pick up Gadwick. I started playing it and was just super impressed with the card. It is also, of these cards, the only one that naturally you just cast for 5 mana and it draws 2 cards.
Yeah.
So it is the closest to Mulldrifter in that way, but also it scales really well, and it's a really impressive card to tap out for. Hydrate Crisis we've talked about. Corvold was a surprising one.
Doesn't even have blue in it, Blake.
It doesn't, but you know what it does? It's a flyer that
draws
costs 5
cards.
mana that draws cards. When it comes into play, when it attacks, it just draws all the cards. And it is one of the reasons, it is one of the few decks that doesn't have blue in Standard that I will play and be happy about, and it's amazing.
I love it. I also wrote some jokey things for Mulldrifters because I'm not as serious about it as Blake, and we've got Form of the Mulldrifter from the Mystery Booster.
That's one I my face. That is not the actual art for that card. None of what is
I've been waiting to do this all day.
All right.
Form of the Mulldrifter, which is actually all your cards are Mulldrifters, so it makes sense. Cloudkin Seer, which is a 3-mana flyer that draws you 1 card, but it's a 3-mana 2/1 flyer, still draws you a card. Pondering Mage, 5 mana, draws you 3 cards, but you got to put some back. And then my last pick was Jace's Triumph combined with something like a Fairy Vandal. 5 mana, draws you 2 cards. It's good stuff. But really, I just wanted blue cards that I could put your face on.
That's fair.
This entire show was worth it just
for that.
Just doing that. Thank you to Sean, our producer.
I almost picked Cloudkin Seer as well. But the other cards I picked drew multiple cards.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm speechless. Thank you. Last show of the decade.
Yeah.
You know what? Someone in chat just asked, did they already do Planeswalkers? Steve, have we already done our top 4?
We have not done our top 4 Planeswalkers, but we're going to do them now. We're doing them right now. Let's do it.
Do it live.
Planeswalkers. I chose Renin 6, Narset Parter of Veils, Nicol Bolas, Dragon God, and Teferi Time Raveler. I did not choose Oko Thief of Crowns because I was positive that Blake would.
Because I would choose the correct list.
Yeah. In fairness, this is probably only off, in my opinion, by one card. Which is
it's a solid list.
Yeah, like Renin 6 had so many implications in Eternal formats. Non-rotating formats. Narset, Parter of Veils, same thing.
Also on my list.
Nicol Bolas, Dragon God is just I think a fun card.
It's really cool.
It's so cool. Like
I have to try really hard not to play it in standard.
Static is nuts.
Yeah.
And Teferi Time Raveler. God, you want to talk about an impactful planeswalker that's not Oko? Talk about Teferi Time Raveler. So those are my 4. All very reasonable inclusions, and then Blake is going to go to his list, which
is
Oko
the
Thief
more
of Crowns.
correct list. Yours wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It was solid. If I was doing a top 8.
Yeah. If Renin 6 hadn't been printed this year, I was actually going to pick Nissa.
And actually, Renin 6 is you can make an argument I should have Renin 6 over Nissa.
I was surprised that you didn't.
Well, Renin 6 is not legal in Pioneer or Historic, and Nissa is big in both of those. So Teferi and Narset are obviously both huge cards. Narset was restricted in Vintage, which takes a lot.
It does.
It does. It doesn't see a ton of play in Standard right now, but I think it should probably see a little bit more. Teferi sees play all over the place. Oko is super busted. You know what I lost to, actually, in the Pioneer tournament?
Was it Oko?
One of them was Oko.
Yeah.
I definitely lost to Oko. And then, like I said, Nissa is on just this side of fair and has defined Standard since it was printed.
So Nissa Who Shakes the World, I look at a lot of cards that we print, and we'll get through, we're running out of time, so I'll get through this quickly, but Nissa is one of the cards that I looked at and I was like, this card is going to be busted in Cube.
Yeah.
That's the metric by which I look at a lot of the new cards that we print, like, will it be busted in Cube, and if so, I want it in my Cube.
Yep.
Nissa was the first Planeswalker from War of the Spark that I was like, yep, that one's going in, 100%.
Yep. We got 2 more categories left. Rare and mythic rares.
Yeah, lump these together.
So we just put these together. Whether it's rare or mythic rares, these are mine. They all seem very familiar because
2 of those cards are banned and restricted, Blake.
2 of those cards are just straight up banned in multiple formats, which is why they're on this list.
Yep.
But Once Upon a Time saw play in
everything,
every format possible, except for Vintage maybe, and was basically busted in all of those. Field of the Dead I included because it spawned its own archetype and did so from when it was released in M20 all the way up through now. It was a different kind of deck that we had. It made Believers out of Golos.
Yep.
So that card was very strong. Casualties of War is right now.
Yeah, that card's so good.
It was overlooked for a while. Maybe not overlooked, but maybe just wasn't the right card to play. But honestly, back when Field of the Dead was being played, maybe playing Casualties of War was a legit thing to do. And then Wicked Wolf has come to define the food archetype. Obviously, it sees less play than when Oko was around, but it still sees a ton of play. We saw it at the Mythic Championship, and just a very strong and also flavorful card.
Blake picks the powerful cards. I pick the fun cards.
It's reasonable.
But these are also pretty
the
powerful.
fun cards.
Yep.
Like Force of Negation.
Force of Negation is super fun.
Murderous Rider. Just
Murderous Rider's
people
super fun.
having just some fun
Yeah,
casual
just fun,
time.
fun casual time.
Fun casual time.
Force of Negation, very, very impactful in Modern. One could argue one of the most impactful cards in Modern Horizons. To Modern. Murderous Rider. I love having a Hero's Downfall effect in Standard. I love having it access to Limited for it. It's great. Smothering Tithe, one of the most impactful Commander cards this year, I think. That was printed in a Standard legal set. And of course, God Eternal Catcher is just gas. That card's great.
It is.
So gross. And then we are going to wrap with the thing that usually comes last in the booster pack, which is the tokens. Tokens.
Yeah. This was a cool year for tokens.
Some cool innovations. This was the...
We changed up what we were doing with our tokens.
Changed up the frame, yeah. It happened.
Let's take a look at them.
Yeah.
So these are Steve's choices.
Yeah, these are. The Sculpture token was in a Commander product. I think that art is super cool, and did a really great job with the frame that the new frame, in fact, that we shifted to. The rest of these are in the older token frame, but I really like the art. So the Shapeshifter from Modern Horizons, the Citizen token that is all colors from War of the Spark that was used by exactly one card, And of course the Thopter token, because I love me some Thopters and I love me the Azorius symbol. So that was a big one for me.
Reasonable, but you're wrong again, Steve. Because your list did not contain food tokens.
That's true. There were so many.
There were. If I have food and boar on here, the boar is adorable. Part of that is my bias. Oh my gosh. Part of that is my bias towards the foil Throne of Eldraine tokens.
Oh, those were sweet.
That come in the collector boosters. They're double-sided, and the boar and the food boar token look really good in foil with the new frame.
And you get to tell a tragedy in 2 parts.
You do get to tell a tragedy in 2 parts, and it's great. The Citizen token, it's funny that Steve had this in his list too, because I ran across this token in like a pile of tokens I had the other day, and it was the only one that made me stop.
Yep.
I was just thumbing through looking for a specific token, and then I saw this, and I was just like, ooh. Also, it is the only token that is part of a weird combo-y sort of deck with the card Happily Ever After.
Yeah.
Because the token is all colors.
Exactly.
So you make that one and it can fulfill one of the requirements for Happily Ever After. And then finally, Sculpture.
So again, I was only half wrong with my
list.
Is
just, only half wrong. It's just creepy.
It's so cool.
It's so cool. It's so creepy. It really tells the story of the card very well. Very, very cool token.
Those are our top 4s.
Those are our top 4s. We have about 5 minutes left. If you
Let's answer some questions. Yeah.
Throw some in chat.
Let's do it.
There aren't a ton right now because everyone's been following along with our top 4s and talking about how terrible Steve's lists were.
Oh yeah, my lists are awful. Please talk to me about how awful my lists are. Follow me on Twitter and talk to me about how awful my lists are.
All the questions about Brawladays, we didn't talk about Brawladays because that wasn't the topic of this stream. Yeah. But yeah. Brawladays is a thing.
Yeah.
You can check it out.
It's happening.
Everyone's been chatting about it. We got a question for our rares and mythics. What about Urza?
Urza.
Urza might have been a miss.
Yeah, I think it was a miss.
Urza, or let's see. Look at my rares and mythics.
Oh, for me it was definitely a miss because I do jokey stuff all the time.
You do. It was definitely a miss.
But I think I should have put it in above God Eternal Ketra.
I think I maybe could have put it in above Wicked Wolf.
Yeah.
Which is a strong card, but Urza helped reshape Modern.
You picked a lot. Yeah, I think you picked a lot of cards that were very powerful in Standard.
Yes.
I chose one card that was not necessarily powerful in Standard, which was Smothering Tithe.
Yeah.
But I think that was a miss. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah,
we should have taken a look at some cards that affect other formats.
Favorite tournament format, and why is it Team Canlander? Because it's what got me my honorary Canadian status.
It did.
And team formats just generally are really fun.
They are.
Anytime you get to share in success or defeat with some friends is always great. I had a great experience at a Team Canlander tournament a few weeks ago, and the finals was, fortunately or unfortunately, all Canadians and me. It was a team of 3 Canadians, and I had gotten honorary Canadian status for this tournament, and we got second, and it was a blast. Do it again in a heartbeat. But yeah, team formats are great. Canadian Highlander is my favorite format.
It is.
So
he talks about it all
the time. Put those 2 things together, and yeah, definitely mine. What's your favorite format?
My favorite format is Cube.
Yeah.
By a country mile.
Yeah.
I like team. Although to team formats, I really like team drafting Cube.
Team drafting Cube.
Team drafting Cube is sweet.
Yeah.
It's really fun. If you've never done it, you have the opportunity to do it. Definitely do it.
Yep. Is there a chance for a newcomer to get into Mythic with Mono Green Henge? I think so.
Maybe.
I think so. There's some powerful stuff.
Are you playing Mono Green Henge? Because you could test that hypothesis.
I think it might actually be more powerful in Historic.
Yeah.
Where you have access to things like Steel Leaf Champion.
Yep.
Llanowar Elves, and Ghalta.
Yeah. Ghalta.
If you really like Mono Green Henge, I would suggest trying it in Historic, where you have some. Where first of all, the mono green options in Historic are very strong.
They're very good.
And second of all, I think you're gonna run into more issue. Like there are a lot more Noxious Grass being played in Standard than I think there are in Historic. Yeah. But who knows?
Mono green. I like the Great Henge a whole lot. I think that card's great.
Yep. Thanks so much for Pioneer. Which decks, if any, are you playing in Pioneer? You said you haven't played any Pioneer.
So I was gonna. I really like the. I was a really big fan of the cycling deck from Amonkhet Standard, and there's a list that's very similar to that with Lotus Fields.
Yeah.
Untapping Lotus Fields and comboing off.
The Hidden Strings combo deck.
Yeah, the Hidden Strings combo deck. Like if I were to play a deck, it would be that or like some sort of blue-white control deck.
Yep. I've played one deck in real life, which is an Esper control deck. You can, if you go to my Twitter, which is @BlakePR, all one word, you can see a picture I took of the deck a couple days ago. I wouldn't recommend building it exactly like that. I was off by a number of cards.
Yeah, we were. I think we were at your desk, like finishing up the
yeah, I was throwing things together, and honestly, like I couldn't find Hero's Downfall, so I didn't have those in there.
So you had to play Murderous Rider, and
anyway,
it was a whole thing.
But anyway, I built the deck on MTG and started playing around with it and changing some things. Gabriel Nassif actually gave me some advice on Twitter, which was good.
Nice.
So
I've heard he knows how to play Magic.
He's okay, especially control decks. And so I started playing around with that. I do have blue-white control. But you know what? There's so many decks I want to try. I want to try Jeskai Ascendancy decks.
Yeah, that deck's sweet.
I want to try some of the Sultai value kind of decks. I want to play Arclight Phoenix. I want to play Treasure Cruise. Anything that lets me play Dig Through Time. Stuff like that.
There's a part of me that really wants to try Maze's End in Pioneer, and then I realize that I don't have the time.
Yep. Yep. We can answer this question. Will Arena get Mac OS support? Yes, we announced that. We haven't announced a date or anything like that.
But it will.
We have announced that it will eventually come to the Mac. It's just a question of when, which I don't know the answer to.
Nope.
No, we have not been told not to talk about Brawl-A-Days.
Yeah.
That
just wasn't the topic of the show.
It just wasn't the topic. We were talking about top 4 things. Cool that you guys want to talk about it, and that's totally fine. That's what chat's for, connecting with people. It's all about the gathering. So, we appreciate you all tuning in. We appreciate you tuning in all year.
Yeah, and happy holidays to all of you out there. We appreciate you tuning in to all the shows throughout the decade.
All the shows throughout the decade. We've been doing this for about a year and a half now.
Yeah, about that. It's been a good year and a half.
I want to thank our producer, Sean.
Special shout out to Sean.
He doesn't ever come on camera, but this show would not be possible without
that's true.
him.
Yeah.
He puts together all the graphics. He does so much work on the back end for us to just come here and talk
If you
to
really loved those prank images that
Sean
made those because I asked him if he would do that, and he did it last minute too because I had this idea earlier today.
Yeah.
Don't
do that to Sean. Anyway, Sean's awesome, and we appreciate him here. And we will be back. We're not going to be back on January 2nd because that's literally our first day back in the office.
We're
not going to be ready to do a stream.
But the 9th.
The 9th, we will be back.
Yeah.
We will be in the middle of Theros previews. So again, things to keep in mind. Tomorrow, the article will go up that will talk about when and where you can see new Theros cards. Previews start
soon.
You'll see.
They start soon.
You'll see in the article tomorrow. If you're not doing anything this evening, in approximately 3-ish hours,
something like that.
Tune into the Game Awards.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
Those are being streamed live tonight
on Twitch.
Wizards of the Coast might have some things there.
Maybe, yeah. So if you like video games, if you like Wizards of the Coast, maybe tune in. Yeah, check out and see what's going to happen.
It's a fun show.
Yeah.
We'll be watching.
Yes. Either way, happy holidays to all of you out there in Twitch chat, and however you choose to celebrate your holidays, we're glad that you decided to spend some time with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, and we'll see you next year.